Hey guys, welcome here. In this lecture, get familiar with this context of a class. In this lecture, I'll continue. We will talk more about classes, and I will introduce you inheritance. Let's start, open your coding editors, and let's navigate to playground.js, and let's see our person class. Let's go down here, and first I will remove some of the constructors because I don't need them and they're taking too much space. So I will remove second one and a third one, and let's leave here a constructor with parameters and with the object. Okay, let's scroll more down and let's remove persist function, this commented one, because we already have here persist function. Perfect. All right, let's scroll down here and let's remove debugger. All right, and maybe we can remove this code, or actually no, let's keep it here, this commented one, and let's remove this debugger down here. Perfect. Now let's continue with new functionality. Let's say I don't want to work with a person's classes. I would like to create a doctor class and create some new functionality to doctor class. All right, so let's create here a class doctor. Class doctor. Perfect. Every doctor has a first name, last name, and an age. So again, I need to implement all of these properties here. So first name, last name, and age. Then again, I need to implement here constructors. I will copy here a constructor, and most probably I would like to have here also function to display this data. So again, I will implement here print user info, and I will print this user info here. And you can see actually problem what's happening here. We are repeating here a code and a functionality that doesn't need to be repeated. Okay, so after all of this implemented, then maybe I would like to add here something new. So let's say maybe hospital where doctor is working. Okay, maybe I would like to add here some more functions. And then I will decide I would like to create a new class again, a pilot class. Okay, so class pilot, and a pilot would have again some other properties, but there would be some shared ones as a first name, last name, and an age, and maybe some other ones. So you can see I would have to repeat all of this code again to a pilot, and that's not very good practice. We would be repeating the same functionality. That's why we have an inheritance in object-oriented programming, and we can use it in our benefit. So I will remove this class pilot will be working only with the doctors, and I will remove all of this here. Okay, so there's an empty class for now. And I will specify here, I want to extend here my person class. So I'll write here special keyword extends, and now I will say here, I would like to extend here person class. Just like this. All right, let's save this. And now I will create an instance of a doctor. So let's scroll down. And let's say I would like to create here doctor. So just under person one. So let's get this line. Let's copy it. And let's paste it under, so here, and I will call it doctor. All right, so doctor, and I'm creating instance of a doctor class. I'll write here new doctor, and I'll write here also first name, last name, and also we can specify here maybe age, and age will be, let's say, 50. All right, and I will write debugger after, or actually let's write debugger before. This will be interesting. Debugger before. All right, and let's go back to our browsers. I will inspect this. And let's refresh our page. And let's see what will happen. Actually, maybe we have here error. Super expression must be either be null or a function. Okay, now what's happening, guys? All right, let's go back to our coding editors. And let's scroll up to our doctor class. And we need to provide doctor class after person class, because first we are defining person, and after we are extending person here. So let's cut it out from here. It makes sense. First we need to define something, and then we can extend from it. So after this person class, let's paste here doctor class. Okay, my mistake. All right, let's save this. And before we'll get back again to our browsers, please let's write debugger in a constructor here. Constructor here. All right, so now let's see. Let's go back to our browsers, and this will be very interesting. Let's refresh your page again. And now, actually, okay, let's refresh, and we are getting instead of our person constructors right now because we are creating instance of a person. So here is our person data. All right, that's fine. But I would like to get in before a doctor. So now we are in before doctor, and we are creating class of a doctor. We are providing here my name, last name, and an age of a 50. Now I will forward this execution. So resume script execution, and you will see that we are jumping inside of a person constructor. So in the constructor of a class, we are extending from, and we are providing here this person data, age 50, first name, last name, and we are providing this, passing this data to this first name, this last name, and this age. So right here, breakpoint this line, you can forward execution, and you should get here, and you will see now we are defining this data. All right, you will jump out of the constructor. Okay, now we are getting here, and here is our doctor instance. So age 50, first name Philip. You can see here also helpers. We have here helper function from a person, and also we have here last name and the proto property, and on proto you can find a constructor of a doctor, and here you can find another proto, and this should point to our person function. So we can use here person functions. We can use here print something. We can use here function print user info, and I can prove it to you. All right, and also we can use persist. How it's possible? How it is possible? We have here something called __ proto, and I will be talking about this very shortly. But first, let's try to call here some functions on a doctor. Okay, so let's continue execution. All right, I will continue this execution. Let's go back to our coding editors. And now let's remove this debugger from here. All right, and let's provide here some function calls. So I will remove this debugger from here, and I will call here, for example, I can call here doctor and print user info. And I don't need to define this function on doctor class. It's defined on a person class, but since we are extending from a person, we have access to these functions. Amazing. And also we can call here doctor and .persist, and we can persist our doctor to database. All right, so persist, and we can provide here DB. All right, we can write here debuggers in the front if you don't believe me. And let's save this, and let's go back to our browsers. All right, so we are in before creating, and actually we need to refresh this, our old code. All right, so let's refresh, and now we should see we have created doctor instance, and now we can call here doctor print user info. This will call our function from a person, all right, print user info, and we are consoling log out here first name, last name, and age over 50, of course. All right, and then we can call persist user. We are persisting user, and when you will inspect your database, you will see we have here our user we just saved to a database. So everything is working, and we can reuse functionality just like this. Okay, what if I would like to specify more properties on my doctor? Of course, we can do it. Let's see it. Let's go back to our coding editors. All right, and let's see our doctor. So we want to extend here some functionality. So maybe some related functions only to doctor and some properties only related to a doctor. So let's say I would like to have here a university or hospital, where I'm working. Hospital, all right, for now this will be just an empty string. Okay, and maybe school or university where a doctor was studying, so school. All right. Okay, so how can I initialize this data? Okay, of course, it's constructor. So I will create your constructor like this. And what I can specify here actually, what I can get here. All right, so I need to now pass here hospital and a school. But when you specify a constructor inside of your doctor class, your constructor is not called from a person class. So now when I will provide here my data, so when I will provide here we are expecting to get here now person data, right? So same as we are specifying here, so person data here. Okay, so now I will specify here person data, and I need to assign this person data to my doctor properties. Okay, so what I can do, how can I assign this data to first name, last name, and also to age, and also to hospital and a school. To hospital and school is very simple. I will just write here this hospital. Let's assign here person data. Okay, so person data. Let's assign here .hospital, and let's do the same for a school. I will get here school, and I will assign this school here. All right, but what about the other data? How can I do it? Let's save it like this, and let's go back to our browsers. Let's refresh this, and you should see here error. Let's see this error, cannot set property hospital of undefined, and of course we are getting this error. We are not sending any data to our doctor, and actually we are not sending hospital and school data to our doctor. Let's go back to our coding editors. Let's scroll down where we are creating instance of a doctor, and maybe we can format it differently so you will see it better. So I will provide this object data on a second line like this, last name and an age, and I will send here university, or actually school and a hospital, right? Or how it was. Let's see, doctor, school and a hospital. Okay. So let's say hospital will be just testing hospital, so hospital, testing hospital, and a school will be testing school, so school will be testing school. Amazing. Now let's save this. Let's go back to our browsers. Let's clear this out and let's see what we'll get. Okay, refresh, and now you will see here again same error. So what's actually happening? How it's possible that we are getting same error even though we are sending the data? All right, let's go back to our coding editors. And actually explanation is quite simple. We don't have specified our instance variables on a doctor class when we are creating our instance. First, we need to call person constructor. Okay, so we need to call constructor. We are extending from, and you can do it very simple. You can just call here super, and a super is referencing your class you're extending from constructor. So this will call person constructor. All right, so now I will provide to my person constructor my person data because I need to initialize also first name, last name, and an age. All right, let's save this. I will write here debugger before, and also I will write debugger instead of a person constructor, so we are sure we are getting here. So I will get constructor just after this const debugger here. Let's save this, and just to see our doctor, I will comment all of our persons. So I will copy this person. I will paste it under doctor. So we'll keep persons together, and we will comment out person-related code. Okay, so this will be not interfering to our doctor. Okay, so now we can write also debugger in before constructor like this. And let's say now, let's go back to our browsers. All right, and let's refresh. So we'll get before doctor. Okay, so now we are creating instance of a doctor class. Let's forward this. So let's click here resum script execution, and you will see that now we are jumping into the constructor of our doctor. Here we are providing person data, hospital, school, and so on. And here we are calling super constructor, so our person constructor with the person data. When I will forward execution, so I will click here resum script execution, I should jump inside of a person constructor. So class I am extending from, and super is referencing to. Alright, so let's click here resum script execution. And you should jump inside of a person constructor. You are sending here person data. You can see here hospital and a school. Alright. And we are initializing this data to a first name, last name, and the age. Okay, let's continue. We should jump up after super. Alright, so you can see we are going out of the super. And now we will assign to this hospital. Actually, I will write here a breakpoint on this line, and I cannot. Interesting. Alright, so you can see now we have access to this context, and I can assign to a hospital my hospital data, and also I can assign to a school my school. So everything is working just perfect now. Right, I will forward this, and everything is working. We don't have here any errors. These are just previous errors. And you can also see here our console logs from our functions. Okay, so I can prove it to you. Let's remove these debuggers, and let's see our console log. So you should see here something like my name is Filip Bierga and age 50, and we should persist our user to database. So in DB items, you should have only one user because we commented out this code. Let's save this. Let's go back to our browsers. All right, and now you can see that we are getting constructor breakpoints, but we want to forward this. We want to see only console logs. I think that's my previous code, so I will refresh this. Or not, I forgot to remove this debugger. Okay, no worries. I will just forward execution, and you should see in a console, hello Filip Bierga of age 50, and in our database we have a username Filip Bierga age 50, so everything is working. We can use same functions as on our person class. We can extend this class with some additional properties, and we can get properties already from our person class. So this is how inheritance works. And there is also much more details I still need to explain to you, but I will do it in the next lecture because this lecture is getting too long. But before we will finish, let's go back to our coding editors. And I would like to show you one more thing. So now we are calling function print user info from our person class. But then I will specify the same function name, so print user info on my doctor class. So let's say our doctor class here. I will specify here print user info, and I will call here, let's say, alert, like this, and I am calling print user info from doctor. You will see I will override my print user info, actually not override, but I will call this doctor class print user info. I will not call my person class print user info. All right, so let's go back to our browsers. Let's refresh, and you can see I am calling print user info from doctor. I am not calling any longer my print user info from my person. Okay, so you shouldn't see here also console log from this print. You can see now we have here only our database, and that's it. And we called our print user info from a doctor. We still have a print user info on a person, but print user info from a doctor has a more priority because we provided this class on an instance we are calling this function from. So guys, I know that's a lot of information, inheritance and extending and so on, but we will get now a nice break. Let's think about classes and inheritance, and we will continue with more details in the next lecture. I would like to inspect our person instance even more. So guys, that should be it from this lecture, and I hope to see you in the next one. Cheers guys.